a true American Muslim become the President of the United States? Hello, friends. I'm Pastor Reza Safa, and the recent political chatter around this question has surfaced a legitimate concern from many Americans, including evangelical communities. Can a true American Muslim become the President of the United States? The question is really more theoretical than reality, because the Muslim communities in America constitute a very small percentage of the population, approximately 0.9%. But let us entertain the idea for a moment and see what a true Muslim president will do to America. First of all, a true Muslim, according to the Islamic Sharia law, is the one who is submitted to the Islamic law first, then he is an American, then he is a president, and so on. In Surah chapter 49, verse 14, I want you to look this with me. We see that the desert Arabs say, "We believe," say, "You have no faith, but you only say, 'We have submitted our wills to Allah,' for not yet has faith entered your hearts. But if you obey Allah and His Messenger, He will not belittle all of your deeds, for Allah is oft forgiven, most merciful." Now, this was concerning a group of Arabs that refuged to Muhammad, an Arab Bedouin, and Muhammad said that you are not a believer unless you commit completely to the Islamic faith, then you become a believer. So a true Muslim is the one who is completely submitted or surrendered to the will of Allah. That is actually what the word Muslim means. So can a true submitted Muslim uphold the Constitution of the United States and yet be true to his Islamic faith? The answer is categorically no. Let me explain why. One of the articles of the Constitution requires that the President solemnly swear or affirm that he or she will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of his or her ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's in Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution. One way of protecting the Constitution of the United States is to protect the rights of individual Americans. The United States Constitution, which was created on September 17, 1787, did not directly address individual rights. However, in 1789, James Madison, the fourth U.S. president, introduced the Bill of Rights, which in 1791 became the first 10 constitutional amendments. The First Amendment to the Constitution is defined as the freedom of speech, press, religion, and petition. Now, could a true Muslim president protect freedom of speech, press, and religion when these rights are unequivocally non-existent in the Sharia law? Here are some examples. The Quran rejects all other beliefs except Islam. We see this in Surah chapter 3 and in verse 85. It says, "If anyone desires a religion other than Islam, which is submission to Allah, never will it be accepted of him, and in the hereafter he will be in the ranks of those who have lost all spiritual good," meaning all Christians and all Jews and all other religions have lost all spiritual goods. Quran actually puts a curse on Jews and Christians. We see this in Surah chapter 9, verse 30. It says, in Surah chapter 9, verse 30, the Jews call Uzair a son of Allah, which we don't know what that word is. Possibly Josiah. In Arabic, we don't know what they mean by that. And the Christians call Christ the Son of Allah. Allah meaning God. That is a saying from their mouth. That's, in this, they but imitate what the unbelievers of old used to say. Allah's curse be on them, how they are deluded away from the truth. Again, the Quran puts a curse on all who believe Christ to be the Son of God. This verse alone should cause the ACLU and liberal progressives to declare Islam a bigoted religion. The Quran commands Muslims not to befriend Jews and Christians. We see this in Surah chapter 5 in the Quran, verse 51. It says again here, Surah chapter 5, verse 51, O you who believe, it's talking to Muslims, take not the Jews and the Christians for your friends and protectors. They are both friends and protectors to each other. And he amongst you that turns to them for friendship is of them. Verily, Allah guideth not a people unjust. Surah 551. As a matter of fact, I had a big debate with Islamic scholar Jamal Badawi on the subject, and you can order the entire tape of that from our library, or go to the internet and type my name plus Jamal Badawi, and you will see portion of that debate. So according to the Quran, Allah hates Jews to such an extent that He turned an entire village of Jews to apes and pigs because they broke Sabbath. Now again, this is not some crazy opinion of a radical Islamic group. This is what's recorded in Quran. Surah chapter 2 in the Quran, it says again, verse 65, and well, you know those who amongst you who transgress in the matter of the Sabbath, we said to them, be ye apes, despised and rejected. If this is not bigotry, then what is it? On the rights of woman, Muhammad has a lot to say. After all, he was married to 37 wives. The Quran commands Muslim men to beat their wives, disobeying wives. We see this in Surah chapter 4 and in verse 34. It says, men are protectors and maintainers of women. Isn't that interesting? So much for a woman having freedom. Because Allah has given the one more strength than the other, and because they support from their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devotedly obedient and guard in the husband's absence, what Allah would have them guard. As to those women on whose part you fear disloyalty and ill conduct, first it said, admonish them first. Next, refuse to share their beds, have no sex with them. And last, it says, beat them. Here, of course, Yusuf Ali has added the word lightly, but in the Arabic text, there is no such thing. But if they return to obedience, seek not against them means of annoyance, for Allah is most high, great above you all. So here, you see on the rights of women, Allah commands Muslim men to beat them. It is narrated by Imran bin Hussein. Again, this is hadith. Hadith is the Muhammad saying and traditions, Muhammad's deeds that are well known among Muslims. It says, the Prophet said, I looked at paradise and found poor people forming the majority of its inhabitants. And I looked at hell and saw that the majority of its inhabitants were women. So you can see what opinion Islam and Muhammad has on the subject of women. In dividing inheritance, for instance, a female gets half of a male's share. We can see this in Surah chapter 4, and also in verse 11. Allah directs you as regards your children's inheritance, to the male a portion equal to that of two females. If only daughters, two or more, their share is 2/3 of the inheritance. If only one, her share is a half. For parents, a 6th share of the inheritance to each. If the deceased left children, if no children, and the parents are the only heirs, the mother has 1/3. If the deceased left brothers or sisters, the mother has a 1/6. The distribution in all cases after the payment of legacies and debts. You know not whether your parents or your children are nearest to you in benefit. These are settled portions ordained by Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. That's for sure. And so here you see that, again, on the subject of a woman's inheritance, a woman has less than what a male has, half of which. In regards to a woman's testimony, it says in Surah chapter 2, and we're going to look at verse 282, and it says, O you who believe, when you deal with each other in transaction involving future obligations in a fixed period of time, reduce them to writing. Let a scribe write down faithfully as between the parties. Let not the scribe refuse to write, as Allah has taught him, so let him write. Let him who incurs the liability dictate, but let him fear his Lord Allah, and not diminish aught of what he owes. If the party liable is mentally deficient or weak or unable himself to dictate, let his guardian dictate faithfully and get 2 witnesses out of your own men. And if there are not 2 men, then a man and 2 women, such as you choose for witness, so that if one of them errs, the other can remind her. The witnesses should not refuse when they are called on for evidence. Disdain not to reduce to writing your contract for a future period, whether it be small or big, and so on and so forth. So you can see here that in a transaction, in a court of the law, a witness of a man, of a male, equals the witness of 2 female. Now, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khurdi, this is another hadith. The Prophet said, isn't the witness of a woman equal to half that of a man? The woman said, yes. He said, this is what Muhammad is saying. Muhammad said, is because of the deficiency of a woman's mind. Quoted by Bukhari, which is a great source of information for Muslims. These are just a few examples of Sharia's law by which a Muslim must abide. My great concern is not whether or not the president could implement the Sharia's law. The office of the president, as we all know, does not oversee the judiciary branch of the government. So technically, the president could not pass a law. Congress does. But I am concerned with whether or not he would open doors to the Islamic forces in this great nation. Think what President Obama has accomplished in such a short time, leading America into an age of godlessness, liberal and socialistic society. What would a devout Muslim president do to the Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities? God forbid. But then again, here's America, and as the liberals are moving this land toward more and more godlessness, a president with this kind of idea and ideology is not impossible. Again, thank you for listening. I encourage you to get hold of my book, Inside Islam, and it will give you more information into the mindset and the faith of Islam and the radical Muslim movements throughout the world. Thank you for listening, and God bless you, and God bless and protect this great land of ours. In Jesus' precious name.